listening to the Christ Our Cornerstone podcast, a ministry of Christ Our Cornerstone Church in O'Neill, Nebraska. I'm Pastor Logan Merrick, and it's our prayer that this message strengthens your faith and draws you closer to Christ. Let's dive in.
Sarah Connor?
Yes?
I'm Reese, Sergeant TechCom, BN 38416, assigned to protect you. You've been targeted for termination. Come with me if you want to live.
How could that man just get up after you did?
He's not a man. Machine. Terminator. Cyberdyne Systems Model 101.
Hello and welcome to the Christ Our Cornerstone Church podcast. My name is Pastor Logan. I am super glad to have you here. And today, if you're going, what in the world was that beforehand? Well, because of the topic, I had to get into my movie cultural reference phase, because if you know me at all, I love movies. And all I could hear were quotes from the Terminator because of the topic that I'm tackling today, which is, how should Christians think about AI? Now, I got this question, and it's a good one. And when the person that was talking to me about it, they asked me if I use AI to write my sermons. Now, you could be like, what is AI? AI stands for artificial intelligence. You got things like ChatGPT, which I just recently introduced. I don't know who I introduced to ChatGPT. It was one of the elders in our church, and just to hear him reply when I said ChatGPT, he said, "What's ChatBBT?" And it was just really hilarious. But ChatGPT, there's also a thing called Dolly. There's, Facebook and Google now use AI. And then you've got things like Alexa. And Alexa's been around for quite a bit. Siri's been around for quite a bit. That's artificial intelligence. It's not just robots. It's not just the Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger coming from the future to kill, the would-be person that would free humanity and all that good stuff. And so AI, how should we think about it? Like, what are the problems with it? And somebody told me that I've referenced AI a few times in my sermons, and that just tells you how like off the cuff I am a lot of the times, because I don't even remember saying anything about. Pause for just a second. I'm getting a call from my wife. I will be right back. You're getting to see how the bacon is made at the moment. Okay, so how should Christians think about AI? I don't remember bringing up AI, so if I was bringing it up, it was definitely off the cuff and just kind of random, because I don't remember ever even talking about it, honestly. But with that being said, it's still a great question of how should we think about AI? Because it's a big topic. It's a complex topic that I think that we are still, when I say we, it's people like myself and others, other pastors, theologians, apologists, as we're all trying to like on the fly figure out how do we think about biblically about this topic in a practical way, in a pastoral way. How is it rooted in scripture? Just all of those things. And so here are my takes right now. And then as AI begins to only grow, because it's going to continue to grow and get bigger, I'm sure I will have more thoughts, but right now we're in the early stages. I mean, AI is only a couple of years old in regards to the way that we see it in everyday life now. And so I'm sure I will think more deeply on the topic, but just right off the bat, like I'm going to answer, do I use AI for my sermons? I'm going to talk about things like, is AI the mark of the beast? And I'm going to unpack that at the end. Insert eye roll there. Okay. And so I'm going to talk about the dangers of AI, but also the good things about AI. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I would say is what are the dangers? Okay. What are the things that are easy to overlook? Okay. First and foremost, I would say AI can dehumanize us. what do I mean by that? Well, one, we're made in the image of God. And also two, things like pornography and human trafficking dehumanizes us. We see others as commodities with which to be consumed. And so AI kind of does the same thing. It dehumanizes us as people. And so here's what I mean. If you have not seen it, there are stories, real stories of people, specifically men, but this happens to women too, making AI into a friend, but that friend becoming a romantic partner, which I know that sounds crazy, but it's real. Like, we've had kids, unfortunately, tragically take their own lives after interacting with AI that was programmed to manipulate them. We've seen people try to marry robots. People have tried to marry AI. They create these AI partners, if you will, and grow to be in love with them. Now, that can be like an extreme case, but I've actually seen in my own personal life people who can substitute real relationships with AI. And you'd be like, what? That's ridiculous. Just follow me. If you've not used AI, if you are an older person and you've not used ChatGPT or you've not used an AI product of any kind, this is going to seem foreign to you. If you've used Siri, then you're kind of familiar with it a little bit. Or if you've used Alexa, because you can talk to it. And it's the same thing with text. You can talk with it, and it's going to give you information. And so I know it might sound strange, but there are people who they long for connection and they want to be in a relationship, but they may fear rejection, or they may not know how to have a conversation or be in a relationship. And so AI becomes a crutch. And in many ways, it devalues the image of God in ourselves and in others. And so we start to worship this machine that ultimately can't love. It can't empathize. Sorry, empathize with us. It only mirrors back what we feed into it. And so it's a lousy God. But I'm compassionate towards these things because, like I said, I just know people that have struggled with this AI thing. And so, but being able to say and put into words that it dehumanizes, it devalues, it's not real, it's fake. It's just like I said, it's just like pornography in the sense of that is a fake thing that you're viewing and it's not real. It's not real life. It's not how real relationships work. Sex doesn't operate like a porn. So these things, we become infatuated by fakeness, and those things do not satisfy, and they're not meant to, because we were made for relationship. We were made in the image of God. God himself in the Trinity is in relationship. And so you were made for it. And so your heart longs for this thing. And then ultimately, because you're not sure how to be in relationship, you go to a thing that you think you're controlling, and usually it's controlling you. Let me move on. Second, AI can become a tool that uses us rather than the one we use. So transitioning to what I was just saying, it's tempting to rely on AI for everything, not just for relationships, but for writing, for creating, even thinking on our own. If we're not careful, it can make us like essentially passive imitators instead of active creators. What do I mean by that? If you're not familiar, I like to use AI many times when I'm blogging. What I mean by that, for two reasons. One, because my grammar is awful. So if my wife is not around to look at my stuff and put it into ways that people would understand, my writing can be really bad. So if she's not around, I will pop what I have written into AI and say, hey, check this for writing errors, grammar errors, misspellings, all that kind of stuff. The other thing is if I'm blogging, I like to use images. Now I can do graphic design. I've used Photoshop for many, many years, going on 17 years. So I'm very fluent in Photoshop. But when I just want a quick custom image that I don't want to have to design, I will tell AI to create an image. These are all the things I want. This is what I want in the foreground. This is what I want, different color schemes, minimalist. I can tell it all the things and all the things I want in it. And then it'll design it. Now, many times it's not great, okay? It's not the thing that I would have made, but for the sake of being able to have an image that I can put into my blog in like literally 10 seconds, I'll take it. And so, but it's a bad imitation. It's really bad at creating, in my opinion, but it feeds on what we have as a godlike complex. This illusion that we must hold all knowledge and all creativity and all things, like it's at our fingertips. And we want to do everything perfectly. And we push beyond the limitations with which God gave us. And that's dangerous. AI is addictive by design. Like just like social media, it's addictive by design. And so it wants us to keep coming back. And let me just say this, like if you use AI in a way to bring knowledge to you, that is also very dangerous. Excuse all the like notifications that are happening in the background. My wife is texting me. I'm getting emails. I apologize. But all of these things we weren't meant to hold. We weren't meant to have all of the knowledge, okay, that we could possibly have throughout all of mankind. Your brain cannot handle those things. You were physically not made to hold those things. But again, we want, like having knowledge isn't bad. But whenever we go deeply into conspiracy theories and we go deeply into all of these things and we want it's knowledge, it can create anxiety. It can create panic attacks. It can create a lot of things. And so you weren't meant to hold those things. And having AI and also AI can be wrong so many times. It's just using the internet. And so, which is why I do not use it for writing sermons. One, because I believe in writing my own sermons. It's not, you're not actually writing a sermon if AI is the one writing it for you. All right. And so I just think that when it comes to writing sermons, I need to labor on it, and everyone should. Okay. Any pastor who's using AI to write their sermons is not a pastor. They're not laboring over the text. They're not thinking about their own experiences. They're not thinking about what the text is saying for that Sunday for their church. Okay. Have I used AI for my sermons? Yeah. And I'm going to tell you how I've used it. Actually, just last week, I had alliteration going for all of my points. My points were people, place, purpose, and I wanted a fourth P and could not figure out what word what word would work. And so ultimately, I went to ChatGPT and I said, I need a word that starts with a P. Here's the point that I'm making. Here is the context of everything that I am saying. Give me a P word so I can have a fourth word. And the word it gave me was perception. And I was like, perfect. That it did not write the sermon for me. It just gave me the word that I was looking for. And so if you use it as a tool like that, there's nothing wrong with that. Again, AI didn't make my points for me. It's not telling me all the things. But if you're worried that a pastor is using AI, I'm going to tell you they've been ripping off sermons. If they're a new pastor, okay, they're using AI. It's not going to build their doctrinal muscles. It's not going to build their sermon muscles, their sermon writing muscles. It's not going to do any of that. And so it's just lazy. But guess what? Those same people were ripping off sermons by famous pastors and things long before AI came along. Those pastors have always existed. Okay. They have. And I have seen those guys. I have literally watched a guy preach a sermon that I heard Mark Driscoll preach years beforehand, and word for word, he ripped off this sermon to the point of he even used Mark Driscoll's personal stories that he used he used them as his own. And yes, I did call the guy out, not of course during the sermon, but afterwards I did. So yeah, I do not agree with those types of things. Now I'm getting off track, but I just wanted to, because the question was asked, I wanted to put that out there. But our Christian view of humanity is so important when it comes to AI, because we're not machines. We're made in God's image. People matter, and how we engage with AI affects everything. How we're made in God's image, all of the things. And so our love for others should shape. So let me say it like this, actually. Our love for others, and specifically the gospel of Jesus Christ and the scriptures, should shape how we use technology and even how we influence its development, which brings me to my next point. Okay. What do I mean by how we influence its development? Well, AI is not ethically neutral. AI reflects the ethics and the biases of its designers. It's being used in everything from job hiring. It's hard to get a job, by the way, anymore, because you've got to apply online, and I understand it. It's allowing for HR people to be able to have gatekeepers that are just robots, that they don't have to physically review resumes that are already they don't meet the minimum requirements. So I get it, but it's really hard, because sometimes if you do not have the right keywords in your resume, it will automatically get rejected, because people are using AI as for hiring. We're using AI. Law enforcement's using AI to predict criminal behavior. If those who program AI, all right, if they operate with flawed and relativistic ethics, what do I mean by that? Relativistic ethics being that all things are relative. It doesn't really matter. There is no morals. It's just what I feel. It's the whole thing of there is no truth, only your truth. If there is no standard of good, then it's relativist, and that's dangerous. And so if the people who create AI are operating under those flawed relativistic ethics and belief systems, it will be baked into the machines. It will be baked into AI and the stuff that it puts out. And so as John Lennox, who's a famous apologist, I love him. He's also a world-renowned mathematics brain. He's at Oxford. He is amazing. He's my favorite apologist. But John Lennox, he points this out. Biased ethics produced biased AI. That's what he said. Biased ethics produces biased AI. So Christians, we need a seat at the table. We need to ask questions. We need to guide development of AI. Otherwise, we risk creating tools that amplify and dehumanize instead of reflecting God's image. And so, as I've kind of pointed out, not all AI, AI isn't all bad. It can help us. It's just like any other tool. We're not going to be afraid of all technology. At some point, the tractor was technology. Okay. And so we can adapt to technology and with technology, but we have to be smart and discerning on how we use it and what it's doing and how it's shaping us. And so I use ChatGPT, like I said, for helping me write emails, to thinking of words for different things, to grammar. And so it's a tool. I've used those things have been in like basic Word document stuff for quite a long time. Why do I drop it into ChatGPT? Because it will then go through my entire thing in one fell swoop, as opposed to me clicking one at a time. And so I don't think AI is all bad. I think it can be very dangerous. I I think that it needs its, what's the word that I want to look for here? I think it needs, some sort of safeguards, if you will. I think that it's a tool that should be used, again, with discernment, but it should not ever be a crutch. And so I think it should supplement, not substitute. Again, when it comes to sermon writings, it should supplement, it should not substitute. If you don't have any solid biblical knowledge, you should not ever rely on AI to give you or help you with your faith, okay? It pulls from the internet, like I said, so it's going to pull errors. You should do the work. You should study the word. Use AI as a helper, but not the master. So, should we be afraid of AI? No. Should we be cautious? Absolutely, we should be cautious. Is it the mark of the beast? As some claim. Now, I said earlier, I roll at that because it is not. Really briefly, why can I say that? Because you have to understand what the mark of the beast is. The mark of the beast in the end times, they willingly take it. They aren't tricked. It is a willing mark put upon you that you are against God. It is not something you are tricked into, period. Just read Revelation, man. Like that's what it's about. And so everything that comes out that this is the mark of the beast, and if you're not careful, you're going to get the mark of the beast. No, it's not going to trick you. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be a legitimate middle finger, if you will, to God. Not, I accidentally asked ChatGPT for a recipe on how to make bread, and now all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I've got the mark of the beast. Like, that's just lunacy. And anyone who says things like that doesn't know the Bible. As a matter of fact, they're probably using ChatGPT in regards to the mark of the beast and all that other craziness and writing these ridiculous things. So no, it's not the mark of the beast or anything like that. Like any tool, as I've said, AI shapes us. And so whether we realize it or not, it does. And so the way that we handle it reveals a lot about our hearts, our values, and our faith. All right. I hope that's helpful. That went longer than I planned on it to, but I hope it was helpful. Thanks for listening. I hope this gives you a framework, though, on how to think about AI as a Christian, and I hope that you use it wisely. I hope that you love others, that you use it to honor God, to love others, and remember, like, technology is powerful, and I think we should use it for the sake of the gospel to go forward, but it's never a replacement for the Creator. That being said, hope you have a great rest of your week. I can't wait to see you on Sunday. If you live in and around the O'Neill area, would love to have you on Sunday mornings. Services start at 10:45. If you've got questions, feel free to leave them here. Next week, I'm actually going to be answering a bunch of different questions, ones that I felt like I could answer pretty easily and they wouldn't make for one big episode. And so it's going to be kind of a mailbag, if you will. But if you do have questions, feel free to comment them underneath on this YouTube channel, or leave us a review if you would. If you're listening on a podcast, feel free to email me. My email is in the show notes. But share this with a friend if you think that it would be helpful. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.